Hi everyone. So I am turning my Jeep into a camping rig, overlanding rig, whatever you want to call it. And in doing so, I have built a bed that looks thicker than it actually, the foam actually is. I've mismeasured. No, I didn't mismeasure it. I was a moron when I was buying the wood and I bought 2x8s instead of 2x10s because this needed to be 10 inches tall, so I had to build this up. But not to worry about that. It's got 2 inches of foam on top, and then it's covered in fabric, and then there's another piece over there that I can show later. But I want to give this thing power, and I don't want to just use my car battery in order to power electronics while I'm camping. I want to have a separate power station. So I bought this. It's a Predator 350 power station. And I bought it because, ooh, that's gonna fall, because it will be able to fit underneath this, because this is 8 inches tall, and this is 7 3/4, so it'll fit perfect. And then also it comes with a bunch of different chargers. This is the one I'm going to be tearing apart because I want to be able to keep solar power options. And this is the cigarette lighter. Echo's losing it. And instead of just plugging this in, because there's no plugins back here, oddly enough, but instead of just plugging this in, I'm going to cut it and wire it directly in. And do that, I have drawn a schematic to help explain what I'm going to do. Don't mind the mess, but yeah, that's whatever. So this is the Predator power station. It's going to be sitting back in here. And then ground power going up, and it's going to go into a relay. That relay is triggered by the cigarette lighter getting power from the ignition switch, because the cigarette lighter, not the one that's lit up, but the one next to it, wow, that's really garbage, there we go. The one next to it is switched power, and that's running my radar detector right now. And so instead of just coming from that and having power directly from that cigarette lighter come all the way back here, I'm running a separate circuit that's fused with a 15 amp fuse, which is the same as this, which should be able to run 12 volts at 120 watts, which is this thing's input, 12 watts max. So yeah, it won't pull more than that fuse will allow, because 12 volts at 120 watts is 9 to 10 amps. So yeah, the cigarette lighter being switched on will trigger this relay, which isn't pulling a whole lot of power from that. This is the car battery. And then that will trigger the relay to turn on, and then that turning on will be wired into here. And I'm also going to wire in a switch up to the dash so that I can manually turn the charging for this off if, say, it's a hot day or an especially cold day. Then I don't have to worry about hurting this until everything gets up to temp. And I want to put it probably right here. Okay, so anyways, I gotta start by clearing a spot for this. Okay, so now there should be plenty of room. And what I want to do is have this so that I can get to the face of it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so the face is over here. And I want to be able to read the screen and have everything be kind of, free. Ooh. What the hell? Oh, that's not good. That bolt's gonna do some damage. And also, it's not as short as I thought it would be. What? I take that. Oh. Oh, yeah. Because 2x8s aren't a... Of course. It's one of my projects, so it had to go south. So I either need to prop this up, build this taller, cut this floor out or cut a space for this to sit inside of this, because it's sticking up. That's 7.5, and that's 7. Wow, that's a full inch shorter than I thought it was. I gotta do some planning. Okay, so I have a plan now. I need to cut the floor out of it, at least in this section. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Okay, so I figured it out, kind of. It's not the most glamorous way to do it, but having it in there makes it harder to get to the power station itself in order to unplug it and remove it. It also makes it more difficult to plug stuff in, like a phone charger, and not have it get damaged by you laying on it. So what I've decided, it also makes it more prone for me to forget about it and have the battery fail because I left it in a hot car over the summer. So what I'm going to do is relocate it to in here. It'll sit here instead of in there, and I can build a little platform that slots into place or something like that, but for right now we're just going to focus on the wiring. The wiring's not going to change, but it won't go all the way back. Instead, it'll just come out. There's a little space right here underneath this plastic that it can come out and then wrap around and plug into the back. And then when it's not being used, I can just tuck that wire underneath this seat, because this is the seat bottom, this is the seat back, and so when it's folded up, it'll be all out of the way, and then I can remove this, and I will have to remove it in order to use my back seats, which will prevent me from leaving it in here and killing the battery. Luckily, there's a 5-year warranty, and it's no questions asked, so, not the biggest deal. But that also leaves me space in my toolbox to have all of my stuff. And there's plenty of room down here. And to prove that, damn, this is bulky. Okay, so see, that is much better. And there's a little bit of room up top. I still have a bunch of storage space underneath this for camping gear and all that stuff. And I have room between the door and the bedside. So I can be able to access this. I can turn it on, turn it off, plug stuff in, unplug stuff. And I don't have to break the cord or drill holes in my toolbox or whatever. But yeah, this is the other piece. And it's 2-inch foam, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's actually really comfy. I don't even need another mattress on top of this, which is good because I am running out of room very quickly. Like that. Also, this is dusty as shit. This needs to be cleaned. But I'm running out of vertical room really fast. So this is how I'm going to do it. If you are ever doing wiring that is going to be exposed to weather or dirt or dust or whatever, use these. They are solder connectors, and basically what you do is you slip your wire into both ends and heat it up, and it solders it. Don't get it too hot, or otherwise you'll burn through, but it solders it for you. No mess. You don't have to have a bunch of stuff. You just need a lighter or a blowtorch or anything. Preferably not a blowtorch unless you know what you're doing, but this is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using, I don't know what gauge this is, but it's the same gauge as the factory plug, factory charging cable, and you can see that right there. It's the same width as that. So, let's be using black. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to ground this black wire, which is the ground, straight to the body. not worry about it, because I know this Jeep has good grounds. Good body grounds, good engine grounds, good everything. Because I went through and did it again. Because if you have any experience with 90s Mopars, they like to lose grounds. And so I removed that from the equation. Alright, so I'm back from the hardware store, and I'm going to go over everything you should need for this setup. So first and foremost, the relay. This is what takes the signal voltage, basically it's these two smaller ones, and converts that into being able to use big power. So you control high power, higher amperage with lower amperage. These connectors, the charger that I'm going to cannibalize, these quick disconnects, these quick disconnects, fuse, 15 amp fuse, and fuse, inline fuse adapter. Oh, and then the wire, then of course blowtorch and wire strippers. Really, you shouldn't use a blowtorch like this on these, but I'm going to because I can turn this down low enough and keep it far enough away that it doesn't really matter. Oh, and I'll probably need a drill to pop a hole in the firewall to get my wires through. Now when you're doing this, because I'm stripping the insulation, this black insulation, without splitting the insulation for the wires themselves, and it's really, really difficult to not do what I just did. I cut into that on the positive. Cool, so I gotta cut that back and start over. Sweet. My favorite. Okay, so basically, you're just gonna want to score it just like that, and then twist it, and it should break it while keeping the wires intact. There we go. There. Perfect. See, now they're unbroken and ready to be worked with. And I strip these really far because what I do is I take the wire that I want to solder to, and I'll twist them together first before soldering it, so it helps it stay together. Which, I don't know if that's the correct way, but it's the way I do it, and it's worked for literally everything I've done it with. Never had an issue with it. I guess you need a screwdriver as well. This is my Icon set. Combination of a bunch of different stuff. This is the cigarette lighter that I'm going to, and I need to get to the back of it. Why do I insist on doing things like this? Why do I insist on making everything integral and make it way more difficult to work with? There is a relay location up there.
I have an idea!
Sweet, I found my trigger. Okay, so I'm gonna use that as my trigger, and then I am going to go from there. Okay, so now I have a male end and my female ends, and I found some red wire that I forgot I had. So, and then also I found this relay, which is for the light pods that I have installed on the front of the Jeep, and this is going to be a lot easier to work with because one, it has the right size, all four of these are the right size, and it has a diagram on the front of it. So I might take the other one back. We'll see. Because that other one was expensive. Okay, so I've done some research, and up there, I don't even know if you can see it with my hand in the way, it's that top socket above where these red wires go into, which you can barely see. But the middle terminal is where I'm going to stick this when I cut off everything around it. That's where I'm going to stick this. And yeah, so that's where I'm getting my switch power from. And then I need to find a ground. Okay, now that I've successfully torn off all of that crap, I'm gonna test fit it. does fit. Okay, so since this is going to be inside all the time, I'm going to just crimp it and call it a day. Boom, now that's ready. So now I can stuff that where I need it to go. I need pin 85 on this, which is this side. And that will go like that. And now I need, so basically the way this works is pin 85 and 86 are the coil pins. And then these two right here, pins 30 and 87, are the switched wires, or the switch terminals. So when you pass 12 volts through these two, it turns this switch on. Let's leave that dangling for right now. So now I need to find a ground that I can send this side to, which is going to be mildly annoying, seeing as how there's 10 pounds of shit in this 5-pound bag. I do have to pop a hole in the firewall in order to run a power wire from the battery to this, and then so I can just run a ground from there, just directly to the battery. I think I'm just gonna do that. Okay, time to get a drill. Drill this. The issue is, what would be nice is what would be nice is if I could take this kick panel out in order to see behind it and get an idea of what's going on there. The problem is the kick panel runs all the way up to here and then all the way back and up to there. So I'm sure as shit not pulling that out. And I also don't like popping holes in my firewall because that's a really good way to break shit. Because there's no real good way to figure out where the hole's gonna end up. So, yeah. I suppose I could just fucking send it and see what happens. I don't know where this goes. Okay, well, this Jeep's already a shitbox. Sorry, Dad. I know you're watching this and regretting your decision of giving this car to me, but, you know. Fuck it, we ball. Anyways, okay, so I can put a hole right there. That's gonna end up really low, though. It'd be better to put a hole up here, but yeah, I don't know. Because if I put a hole down here, this is really, really low in the engine bay, and then I have to run it up and over and then find a spot for it. Which isn't necessarily a problem, but I could run into my wire being an issue of that. Like if the wire is rubbing up against a bunch of shit or going right next to the engine and getting hot and burning up, that could cause issues. I suppose I could get some thin loom and then solve that problem down the road, you know, whenever I get around to it. Or I could pop the hole higher up, but then I run the risk of hitting something important. But right here, I don't think there's anything important. So this is what, right where it, yeah. So right where the body goes from flat, where the firewall is, to down here, where this is angled, is where I need to look. And luckily, I drive a four-wheel drive, so that's really easy to do. So I don't want it to be over here because this is where the tire is, and that's going to get a lot of shit. It looks like it's going to end up inside that frame rail, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a good thing. Well, I could run it into here, into the frame rail, and then up through here, and then that kind of keeps it away. So that's not necessarily a problem. Ow! It's really dirty. But would my tire rub that? The answer to that question is maybe, depending on where I ran it. Ooh, nice and polished. Very smooth, very nice. That goes breathing in my ear. Very, very, very nice of her. Ooh, where does that hole go? Here, I'm gonna leave you guys down here. Well, I guess I can't. Ow! Fucking door's in the way. Ugh! That didn't feel nice. Okay, so stay there. Okay, so there. Okay, so the important thing that I learned, there's nothing really, that was good. There's nothing really bad about me drilling the hole there. So that's where I'm gonna drill the hole. And you're gonna like it. Well, you don't have to like it. I really don't care. You're on Mach None Garage. I'm not going to teach you the right way to do it. I'm going to teach you the way that gets it done. There we go. Also, another problem with me drilling right there is water ingress. But I don't know if that'll be a problem until I know where that hole goes. So, use the camera to light. There. Now I need to figure out where that light's coming through. I don't know where that light's or where that hole's going. So I may have just popped a hole for no reason if it's, well, it could be 2 layers. This is why I hate doing this. Because you never know where it's going to go. Never really know for sure. So I need to find where that goes. Stand by. Sweet. That's the good spot. That's where I want it. Oop. Okay, so that hole right there. Perfect. Okay, so I got it run on that side. These are super sweet. These are the only zip ties I've seen like this. They're self-trimming. So then, I can show this. So the zip tie is, you know, got its end. You just twist it around and it pops off and there's no razor blade on it. Not quite that bad, but you know, whatever. I really, really, really like these style of, or this style of battery terminal because it gives me so many spots for connections. Because there's one here, and then there's this for the main connections and stuff. So, really, really nice. I really like this. There. Perfect. I don't know what I recorded last, but I haven't been recording, so I don't know how much of that you caught. But now I'm done with the power wire going to the charger. Now I need the ground wire going to the charger. So not entirely sure where I'm going to put that. Hi there. So I have decided I'm going to run that negative into here where there's that hole right there that I can't get to right now, but there's that right there where I can get to bare sheet metal, and I'm going to run a self-tapper into it. Okay, so there weren't any self-tappers, but I am just going to use this screw and hope it works out. Help if I can see it. Oh yeah, that's mint. Oh, dude. She's perfect. we go. That should be the last solder connection. So now, plug it in. Okay. Did it work? It worked! That's what I'm talking about. Yeah! Oh, that feels so much better. That feels so good. Sweet. Yeah! Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be doing more videos on the Jeep. I'm going to be building a tent that comes out way past where this is. It's going to be 10 feet long, something like that. And it's going to be a hot tent. And I'm building it completely from scratch because they don't make those. And then also, if people want to see it, I can make a series or make a build video or a series on the toolbox and bed itself. But yeah, stay tuned. I will be uploading. I have not been uploading very much recently, but I will. I also have another video coming out tearing down the motor I'm going to be putting in the Mustang. And yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.